Could the shakeup of Idaho's legislature result in lower spending in 2025? Well, despite a handful of very tough losses, conservatives seem to have won big on Tuesday. Many of Idaho's most establishment policymakers and biggest spenders will not return. This looks great for the spending index, as 11 of the 16 incumbents who lost their races scored an F this year. So, where does this put us ahead of November's general election and the 2025 legislative session? Could taxpayers see any savings? We will dive into the details on this week's episode of Fiscal Fridays. Conservatives scored some big wins on Tuesday, ousting many of Idaho's most liberal spenders. Fiscal responsibility is a central tenet of what it means to be a Republican, and it seems voters are well aware. In fact, it is the very first point of the party platform. It reads, "The Idaho Republican Party recognizes that all government is financed by taxing its citizens. We believe the size and cost of government, as well as the national debt, must be reduced." This is the governing point of fiscal conservatism, and lawmakers' adherence to this tenet is precisely what the spending index quantifies. With that in mind, many who lost their re-election bids on Tuesday not only failed to support this part of the GOP platform, but actively opposed it. The 11 leftist legislators who lost had an average spending score of 16%. This means that 84% of the time they voted to expand the size of government through more spending. Legislators that rubber-stamped virtually every budget that came before them included Senator Linda Hartgen of District 25 and Representative Matt Bundy of District 8. His seatmate, Megan Blanksma, was among those leading the charge against the changes to the budget process to bring more transparency and accountability. All these actions are squarely against the party platform and pay no regard to the burden placed on taxpayers to sustain the growth of government. All these legislators will not return next year, and come November will likely be replaced by candidates who campaigned on fiscal conservative values. One such example is former Senator Kristi Zito's victory over Senator Jeff Schroeder in District 8. Before leaving the legislature in 2022, Zito had a lifetime spending index score of 94%, a huge upgrade from Schroeder's dismal 9%. These victories did not come without conservative losses that are, frankly, hard to swallow. Senator Scott Herndon from District 1 lost to former Senator Jim Woodward. Herndon was marked for his persuasive argumentation, sharp understanding of budget issues, and commitment to the taxpayer. He sat on JFAC and boasted a lifetime spending index score of 92%. By comparison, Woodward, who also sat on JFAC during his tenure, had a lifetime spending index score of just 8% and is known for his big spending and anti-conservative values. Another tough loss for conservatives on JFAC was Representative Tina Lambert. She also had a lifetime spending index score of 92% and was profoundly committed to principles of fiscal conservatism and small government. Other top scorers who won't be returning next year include Representative Jason Gallagher and Senator Chris Trachel. Gallagher in particular boasted an impressive spending index score of 98%. It is unlikely their opponents will score as well. With all this considered, what would next year look like? It is difficult to say before the general election in November and when committees are selected in December. Many of those who led the budget reform and championed small government this year will stay. Conservatives seem to have gained ground in the House of Representatives and the Senate despite the loss of several good legislators. There is some concern, however, over the fact that most of the establishment JFAC members are still intact. Virtually all of the legislators who led the coup against JFAC co-chairs Wendy Horman and Scott Grow will be back again. But with better numbers, conservatives could throw their weight against many of the bad budgets that will inevitably come out of the committee. It may be a long session for big spenders on that committee, as they have to rewrite many failed budgets. In sum, Tuesday brought a mixed bag for conservatives in the GOP that is ultimately in their favor. They still must play the game smartly to build on this success, but they are off to a great start by growing the number of members who believe in the tenets of fiscal conservatism. Next legislative session sure will be one to watch. Thank you for supporting the content we produce at the Idaho Freedom Foundation. Be sure to like and subscribe to help spread our message of freedom, family, and small government. Also, the 2024 Freedom Index is hot off the press. Be sure to stay informed about who is fighting for your liberties in the legislature by requesting your free copy at idahofreedom.org.